Hey Husker fans, welcome to another video from Just Two Dudes. My name's Louie.
My name's Seth.
I'm the dad.
And I'm the son.
Alright, we're just going to get right into it. This is a part of the year where maybe we're not so nice anymore.
Yeah.
And maybe we're just not trying to be entertaining. This is for real. This is very serious to us. First game out of the way. Big Red is 1-0. And all anybody wants to talk about is
Taylor Martinez.
And rightfully so.
Yeah.
I can go back to about 1980 and don't know if I've ever seen a kid at Nebraska any faster than he is. I've seen him quicker with a little more agility. That would be Eric Crouch,
yeah.
But that speed is...
I mean, it's not just how fast he is, but he's at his top speed in less than 4 steps at times.
Right.
And that is just so impressive. It's not even funny. And not to mention, he runs. He's just not fast. I mean, I know it's Western Kentucky, but he did break some tackles.
He ran really
some
tough.
Arm tackles. He even lowered his shoulder into a guy a couple times. And plus, he has moves. I mean, not like Eric Crouch. He's not as agile as him, but he has a lot of moves when he's in the open field.
Right, and one of the things that impressed me, I noticed an awful lot this week, is some pretty decent quarterbacks around the country. Their first series or two, kids were fumbling, losing exchanges, all kinds of...
Taylor in the Boise State game, and that...
Yeah,
could have really cost them.
And you know, this kid just showed he looked like a 4th-year starter out there.
Yeah, I was really impressed with how just calm and poised he was, which, hearing from the coaches, there's always been 2 things on Martinez, way back from spring. He's fast and he's poised, and we definitely saw that.
Well, what bums me out is in our earlier videos we were talking about the quarterback race and how we thought it was going to be Zach Lee.
Yeah.
Well, if we could have saw Taylor Martinez in practice, I think it kind of would have been a no-brainer.
Oh, yeah.
Not only is this kid the best runner, in that little zone read game we play, his ball fake is out of this world. He has guys right in front of him who see that he hasn't handed the ball off to the guy, and they still go the other way while he has the ball just standing there, and he's gone.
One thing I noticed is that even Cody Green puts it in the pocket, and he'll take it out a little sooner if he wants to keep. But I saw a few times Taylor Martinez not only has it out here, but he's even leaning into the back. He holds it for so long.
He sells it unlike anything I've ever seen. And one thing that blew me away, look, I expected Taylor Martinez to be fast. We were at the spring game.
We saw it.
Yeah, we saw a little bit of it.
But not that fast.
But his throws, he had probably one bad throw.
Yeah, and I think that one bad throw was a ball that I think the announcer said was to Mike McNeil. I thought it was to Brandon Kenny because it was closest to him, but it kind of landed right in the middle of McNeil and Kenny. That was flushed out of the pocket. He really stepped up and just let it fly.
Yeah.
And is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, but I mean, one bad pass. He was victimized by a few drops.
I was gonna say he was 9 of 15, but there was a couple of drops there.
And the thing about it is the ball is out so quick.
Oh yeah. He's got a really quick release, and there is some zip on that ball.
Yeah, and the ball is
right there too.
Yeah, where guys can catch it in stride.
That's one thing. Like Cody's got a really strong arm, but Cody can't zip it and put it right where it needs to be every time for his receiver.
Yeah. Well, outside of Taylor Martinez, what we want to talk about is just some general. Just maybe like some opinions and observations that we had from the game. You know, one of the things I noticed is the crowd was wearing a lot of red. Yeah. I think they're getting started on the red out video. At the beginning of the game, the crowd was really loud, but then they just fizzled.
Which usually happens when we play a team like Western Kentucky and we're up 28-0 at the start of the second half.
Now what I want to kind of do is just, and not spend a lot of time on it, just some quick observations that we made as we were watching the game. One of the things I saw was the defense. We should really talk about the defense.
Yeah, we should.
Okay. In our earlier videos, I stated that I thought the defense would be nowhere near as good as they were last year. A lot of people disagreed and said, "Oh no, they'll be better," and things like that. I thought under no circumstances could they be, because Ndamukong Suh was such a powerful force. He's not just the best defensive player that Nebraska's ever had. I mean, some guys have had really great careers, but Big Sue could have had just the most impressive defensive year that maybe anybody's ever had. And when you lose something like that, it will hurt you. I hope people got the blinders off now and can really see. It kind of reminds me of when we went 2001 from Crouch
to Jamal Lord.
I told everybody you won't understand how good Eric Crouch is till he's gone. Yeah. And I think that's exactly what happened.
The coach lost his job because of that.
Yeah. The defense.
Yeah.
I actually thought that we'd see something like that, about 300 yards and maybe a few more points, but outside of Dijon Gomes and his unbelievable desire and just will.
Now we got to spend a couple minutes on him.
No. Now we got to talk about the defense here.
Well, all right.
That's what I expected from them. I'm not worried about those guys. Are you?
I'm slightly concerned from just a few areas. Alonzo Whaley made a lot of mistakes, cost us a lot. And here's why I'm not overly concerned about it, like I'm sure a lot of people are. Will Compton was the guy that he's replacing in our starting lineup. And Will Compton, leading up to the game, was the guy that was responsible for making all the calls, not necessarily just the play calls, but the shifting, the different checks you have to make in a defense. Will Compton was responsible for that.
The quarterback of the defense.
He was the quarterback of our defense. There's no question about it. And then when he goes down, Whaley now, I'm sure he worked on it in practice, but let's be honest, if you think somebody else is starting, you're not going to work on it as much, and the coaches aren't going to work on you with it as much. And now that he was just thrown into the situation, now I think Levante David was the one making the shifts and the checks for our defense, but still, the change in who the quarterback of the defense is, I think had a lot to do with sometimes guys being out of position on the D-line, and I really think that has something to do with the 179 yards we gave up, which to me is a complete embarrassment.
Well, 179 yards, that doesn't bother me, because
179 yards on the ground doesn't bother you?
No, because what that is you have a linebacker who's playing. You have two linebackers who are playing in their first football games ever. They have never played it down at this level of football.
But most of our D-line has. That's the thing.
Well, but you have two basic backup linebackers at this point. I'm convinced Levante David would have found his way into the starting lineup.
Yeah, I think he was starting.
You know, this is the first time they've played, and I think that stuff is easily correctable. Basically,
it better be, because if we're giving up that many yards on the ground and our line is just getting gashed like that, we're gonna have issues. We're gonna have a lot of problems once we.
That defensive line is good enough for our 4 D linemen to have to be occupied by 6 offensive linemen, which is what you want. Yeah. But you have to have linebackers that can't get blocked.
They better. Our first Big 12 conference game. Our first Big 12 game is against K-State, and if you can't stop the run with what they're doing with Daniel Thomas down there at K-State, we're gonna have issues if we don't get this stuff cleaned up.
Well, we will have issues, but I still think most of those teams are going to have a hard time outscoring us. Folks, you're not going to this year with this team. You're not going to see Nebraska scoring 12 points, 10 points, 7 points. That's not going to happen. But you're also not going to see us holding everybody to such low points. All right, guys, that's this video. This next video we're going to do is going to be pretty entertaining. We got a lot of really cool stuff we want to talk about from the game. So make sure you catch that one, okay? Later.